They spread chaos in the World Wide Web, but they are also a kind of engine of progress. Scanning computers for strength and vulnerability, they contribute to the development of network and computer technologies. They're called hackers, cyber warriors. These are the computer's geniuses, super spies, who are capable of breaking the enemy's computers, secret databases, and committing virtual sabotage. And despite some of the invisible fright fighters end up in jail, many of them choose the right way. The American hackers, both civilian and those who serve in the US Army or in intelligence services, are the best in the world. It is underlined by the several great universities of San Diego. There are at least 3 universities that has been providing America with the best professionals in IT and information security yet from the 1990s. Take Tsutomu Shimomura, for example. Tsutomu Shimomura is a senior fellow at the San Diego Supercomputer Center. He came to the University of California at San Diego in 1999.
Tsutomu Shimomura is a computational physicist and one of the country's leading experts on computer security technology.
In the fall of 1984, at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, he was one of the architects of an advanced parallel computer. He also worked in the laboratory's theoretical division with Russell Haslett, one of the nation's leading researchers in computational physics. In recent years, Shimomura has also worked in the area of computer security research. He has consulted with a number of government agencies on security and computer crime issues. In 1992, he testified before a congressional committee chaired by Representative Edward Markey on issues surrounding the lack of privacy and security in cellular phones. In February 1995, he helped several online service and internet companies track down computer outlaw Kevin Mitnick, who had stolen software and electronic mail from Shimomura's computers. In 2010, the team of computer scientists from University of California, San Diego, and the University of Michigan and Princeton University demonstrated how the electronic voting machine can be hacked and how votes can be stolen by using a malicious programming approach that had not been invented when the voting machine was designed. They employed return-oriented programming to force a Sequoia AVC Advantage electronic voting machine to turn against itself and steal votes. In 2015, long before the State Department and President blamed the Russian hackers in attacking the DNC servers, Ian Foster and Andrew Predholm from the University of California, San Diego show how it is possible to hack into the onboard computers. It is quite difficult to believe that the Russians have reached the highest level of computer and network science, the level the United States have now. It is also worth noting that a large number of graduates of the San Diego universities moved later to the civil services, the U.S. Army, or any secret service. Many U.S. Army branches have their own cyberspace special forces, just like the students and staff at the Air Force's Information Operations School at Hurlburt Field.
From the President to the SecDef to the Chief of Staff, on down, they've all said that while this fiscally strained environment is getting cut left and right, cyber is on the upswing.
If you want to be on the cutting edge of the most exciting opportunities in our Air Force today, look at cyberspace.
This is not just another support mission. This is ops. This is just another tool for the combatant commander to utilize in defending freedom and keeping America safe.
If that system goes down, it's not, gee, did we lose power? But gee, did an adversary just have a strike against us? Thinking about it differently.
In 2006, the United States adopted a new military doctrine according to which the cyber attacks on the U.S. targets, institutions, and infrastructure are considered to be a full casus belli. It seems to be the right thing has been done for the safety of the great country, but the last 5 years show us that America considers cyberspace as a real scent of war. Nowadays, the US hackers perfectly possess all the knowledge, experience, and technical capability to be the best and carry out any undercover operation at the highest level and maximum damage.
We're sending a message. We have the capacity to do it, and the message
He'll know it?
He'll know it, and it'll be at the time of our choosing and under the circumstances that have the greatest impact.
In 2012, the world learned about the cyber attack of the USA and Israel on Iran's nuclear facility in Natanz. But if there was no leak from the Israeli intelligence, the story would have remained a mystery. As a result of this special operation of the NSA, CIA, and the Israeli intelligence, the Stuxnet virus affected the Iranian nuclear infrastructure, civilian objects, and even people. And there is every reason to believe that the attacks on the US electoral system, the Democratic Party, and WADA servers were run by Washington itself. And the group of hackers called Fancy Bear is a brainchild of the NSA and CIA.
We need 2 techs with full electronic capabilities, 2 Humpty Dumptys. Get Fiedler to organize it. And call Kramer to get us some ex-military cutouts.
How do I describe the project?
Call it a training up. Host it here. Set up a link with the NRO.
That's good.
Falsify FBI approval.
We are all being told that Russia is behind the release of the Clintons' email and other cyber attacks. But does anybody heard about any evidences given? Even the CIA avoids answering direct questions.
A private U.S. firm called CrowdStrike, mostly made up of ex-FBI, ex-NSA individuals. These investigators found many signs that point to Russia, particularly 2 different Russian groups that they call Fancy Bear and another with a similar name. Now, these ties that point to them are mostly based on the types of tools that hackers use. Typically in these scenarios, what investigators look at is, where did the signal come from? Did they bounce from a computer in Russia? Was the computer set to Russian? Are these tools that are unique to these specific hackers? In this case, they pointed out tools, but it's got to be noted, this is a very tricky game to play. In the cybersecurity realm, attribution, as it's called, pointing the actual finger at someone and saying you're the one who did it, is extremely difficult. And so until we have the FBI or the U.S. Director of National Intelligence come out and actually say that it was the Russian government, make a firm declaration, it's really dangerous to point fingers at this point.
During the third and last presidential debate between Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton, instead of answering the question, Clinton blamed the Russian government for the leaks, alleging the Russian government has engaged in espionage against Americans, hacking American websites, accounts of private people, of institutions, in an effort, as 17 of the intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence the election.
Now, we would hope that investigators would have more than that, and they've pointed to unique code, unique tools that these specific Russia-based actors have used. But again, this isn't firm evidence. So until we have a group, say, like the NSA, which is placed in computer networks around the globe, until the NSA tells the Director of National Intelligence to come forward and say it was Russia, it's going to be really difficult to point the finger right now.
Instead of 17 agencies, only the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and the Department of Homeland Security have offered the public any input on this matter, claiming the DNC attacks were consistent with the methods and motivations of Russian-directed efforts. Without offering any evidence, those 2, not 17 agencies, hinted that Kremlin could be behind the cyber attack, but saying they believe the hacks came from the Russians is far short of saying they knew the Russians were behind them. Even the hacker persona, Gasifier 2.0, who burst into the spotlight by posting the DNC's internal vulnerability file on nominee Hillary Clinton and personal data on the DNC's donors, seemed to be serving for someone's goals, which are none of the Russians. Gasifier's release came during a presentation from a person speaking on behalf of the alleged hacker at a London cybersecurity conference. And this raises the question, why wasn't that person arrested as a suspect of assisting a potential criminal? The American hackers are the best in the world. There is nothing that they cannot do. It occupies them a moment and few skills to take over any server in Russia or China and attack US government websites or email, given the appearance of the alien hackers' attacks.
It's very difficult to track them, and it's actually extremely easy to spoof this type of information. I mean, I myself can set my computer to a Russian language. I can decide to work between 9 to 5 Moscow time and then bounce my signal off of a computer in Siberia. It's very easy to do that.
This sort of thing, blaming Russia immediately for all sorts of issues, does remind one of the Cold War. But this is not like the Cold War. This is the new form of political influence, which is available to governments to attempt the world power.
Well, that's why I say we have to know the facts here, and it's not at all clear to me, just viewing this from the outside, that this hacking into the DNC and the RNC computers was not a false flag operation. Let's remember what FBI Director James Comey said dealing with Hillary's homebrew server. He said, "We found no direct evidence of Foreign Intelligence Service penetration, but given the nature of this, we didn't expect to," meaning a really sophisticated Foreign Intelligence Service would not leave any cyber fingerprints. And yet people say they did leave cyber fingerprints in the hacks regarding our election. So the question that has to be asked is, why did the Russians run their smart intelligence service against Hillary's server, but their dumb intelligence services against the election? If you think the Russians did this, then why did they leave fingerprints?
Maybe because that's how we have such sophisticated ability to try and
James Comey and the FBI couldn't find any fingerprints in Hillary's server.
They use it.
A young man from Russia whose servers were implicated in the recent hacking of the DNC sites said he had information that would lead to the hacker, yet the FBI didn't knock on his door. In a conversation with the New York Times, Vladimir Fomenko said his server rental company, King Servers, was oftentimes used by hackers. Fomenko added that the hackers behind the attack against computerized election systems in Arizona and Illinois, which, like the DNC hack, were also linked to the Russian government by the FBI, had used his servers. According to the 26-year-old entrepreneur, he has the information. If the FBI asks, he's ready to supply the IP addresses, the logs, but nobody contacted him. It's like nobody wants to sort this out. After learning that two renters using the nicknames Robin Good and Dick Robin had used in his servers to hack the Arizona and Illinois voting systems, Fomenko released a statement saying he learned about the problem through the news and shut down the two users down shortly after. While he told the New York Times he didn't know who the hackers were, he used his statement to report that the hackers are not the Russian security agents. The analysis of the internal data allows King Servers to confidently refute any conclusions about the involvement of the Russian special services in this attack. The present situation is much worse than the Cold War. After the Soviet Union collapsed, instead of inviting Russia to join the Western civilization, the United States and NATO deliberately keep on searching ways to get a point of no return incidents. Hey guys, you seem to have been talking about the Russian hackers. Well, Russia is proposing to conclude an international agreement on cybersecurity and security building measures in this area. It's about time, because today is the Washington's official establishment comes easily to declare the beginning of a cyber war, just the way they talked about nuclear one in the 1940s.